Hello everybody, and welcome to another puzzle challenge video for chessuniversity.com. My name is Ryan Murphy, and we started a new week, so we're back to our beginner level puzzles. The thing on your screen right now is actually the solution to the final hard puzzle from the previous week, where it was black to play and win. So if you didn't get a chance to try to solve that one already, if you haven't seen that, you can pause the video, because I'm about to present the solution to that. And as I mentioned in the previous video, this is one of my games from last year where I was playing black in a FIDE tournament in Iowa. So in any case, yeah, last chance to pause. I'm going to go through the solution now. So in this position, black is winning with only one move, but it's like a very sort of conceptually nice thing. You start with the move bishop takes knight. And normally this wouldn't be a move black would be hurrying to play, because you'd be giving up a bishop for a knight. This bishop on g2 is going to recapture, and it would be quite a strong piece. Generally, it would be able to outplay the knight that black has left, but there's a very concrete tackle point, obviously. After takes, there's really no other way for black to recapture except by with bishop, because if rook takes, the rook in the corner is hanging, which is a constant problem, and you're going to see that in some other positions coming up. Obviously, if they can't take with the queen, because the knight will take back, and white would just lose the queen. So they have to take with the bishop. And now the main point is we've removed the knight, which used to be defending the f2 square. And now the move knight to g4 is very strong. It threatens checkmate in two moves, because black will simply go, if white doesn't do anything to stop it, queen takes f2, and then queen takes h2 checkmate. So really the only move here to protect against the mate is rook f1. So something somebody could think is, why can't they go bishop g2? I guess this is technically also possible, though at minimum you can take on f2 with the knight, and this should be pretty strong, because now the threat would be knight h3 with that smothered mate motif. So for example, let's say, I don't know, rook b1, kind of a random move. I know it hangs a2, I know it's a bad move, but just to illustrate the threat, this is never possible because of this, and going in the corner allows the famous smothered mate motif. So I'm sure there are other moves that are good there for black as well, but that's what I remember intending when I calculated this in the game. Anyway, so yeah, rook f1 is the main move, and now the main point is, again, knight takes f2. And once again, this rook is doing too many jobs. It's defending the rook in the corner and also protecting that f2 square. So if takes and there's queen takes a1, black is winning. And if bishop f3, just to save the bishop, because the bishop was also under attack. There are several discoveries that are probably very strong, but the one that I liked was knight d1, because it disconnects the rooks, and so next move black's able to capture in the corner, winning material. So black wins. Anyway, that's the solution to the previous day's puzzle, and now let's jump on over to the fresh one, the puzzle that should be for more beginner level players. So it should be up on your screen now. It's another black to play and win puzzle. Black has a very good position, but this is just a straightforward tactic where black wins material. And I want to quickly go through the game to show how we got to this position. This is the game E against Escalante Ramirez, played on chess.com a few months back. This is a almost 1900 level player with the white pieces, and a 2400 level player with the black pieces. So this game began as a French win-or defense. c5, all of this is theory so far. a3, takes, queen c7 is a move. Queen to g4, attacking this pawn on g7. Normally black either defends by going king f8, or in the very worst case playing g6 and compromising their dark squares. But in this game, because the queen is on c7 in this variation, the queen can defend the g7 square laterally. So black goes for the move f6 instead, which is a little bit risky, but they're trying to open up the center. Okay, so f4 played, reinforcing the e5 square, and then cd. Now obviously, if white simply recaptures on d4, which doesn't happen, black would have a variety of interesting moves here. First, it's important to not be tempted by the possibility of giving this fork, which is often quite strong, because while it's possible to go pawn grabbing here, at the end of all this, and you can also go rook grabbing at the end, I should point out, if black goes for maximum greed and takes this rook in the corner, we have to remember that earlier the purpose of the queen on c7 was that it defended this, and this would actually be a very big problem for black. Because while both kings are in the center and they both seem kind of equally weak, the main reason that black's in huge trouble here is, well, simply once this rook falls, then the knight's going to be falling soon thereafter, and simply white just has more pieces developed in this position to attack with, because this extra bishop on d3 is going to be useful. Plus, if white ever unpins, this dark square bishop is going to be lethal in the attack against black's king, because black doesn't have a dark squared bishop, and they have tons of weak dark squares, both on this diagonal and also probably in the near future this diagonal. So, just for people who are curious, why doesn't black go for this fork and then trying to grab the rook? Queen takes g7 would lead to a nasty attack. Okay, so knight e2 instead, which defends the square on c3. Gives up some pawns, but tries to close down the black queen. So now black takes on c3. It's also possible here to take on e5, which does actually do quite a number on white's center. So that would have been interesting. The best white would be able to do here is to give this check to weaken some squares and then to take back like this. But this type of position with the queens off is usually quite decent, because black is material up. They've stolen a center pawn. The bishop is still bad. It's a French bishop, but black's going to complete their development. Knight e7, knight c6. Maybe even have ideas of going for this typical plan where you try to exchange the light bishops along this diagonal. And black's king's not in any danger here either. So that was an interesting chance for black, but they took on c3 instead. Queen h5 anyway. Queen f7. Again, endgame should be good for black, so white avoids the trade. And they just kind of lost 2 tempi. You could argue that the queen's not as strong on f7 as it was on c7, but I don't really buy that argument. Yeah, it's still an extra move. Okay, so now knight h6 with tempo. Knight takes c3 and e4, and now black just has too many pawns. Black has full control over the center, and black's going to be castling soon. So nothing wrong for black's position. Everything's good. Knight c6, knight to b5, threatening a very nasty fork on d6. So you got to watch out for that. That's why castles is played now. g3 and a6, kicking the knight back. The knight could plunge forward, but that wouldn't really help black's position very much, because while it is a fork, it doesn't actually threaten a winning material, and once the queen repositions itself to the dark squares, you never want to take this bishop, because this bishop is terrible, and simply black can recapture it, and all the pieces for black are mobilized and ready to attack, and white's still stuck with many pieces that haven't moved. Okay, so instead of this, the knight retreated to c3, and then knight d4 came, threatening the queen, and also keeping an eye on this potential fork later on c2. Queen g2 is played. Queen to c7, attacking the knight. Bishop to b2 to defend. Knight on h to f5. And then here white castles queenside, which, I mean, they kind of have to. If they don't, the move knight e3 followed by knight c2 is going to be completely crushing. So castling at least to try to safeguard the king slightly, and now it is our starting position, again, with black to play and win material. So hopefully you guys can solve it. Check the link in the description if you want to get rewards points on the official post on our website. So if you post your answer there before we put up our solution post, you can get star points on chessuniversity.com. Thanks for watching, and I'll see everyone tomorrow.